I am often asked, are the Bantu people the Israelites of old? This question is complex and controversial, which is why I have often avoided giving a direct answer. However, with time and maturity, I've come to realize that when exploring history, one must set aside personal feelings and emotions. One must accept that they won't always be right, and above all, must be willing to admit the limits of their knowledge. As a historian, I have conducted extensive research on this topic, fully aware that my findings may not resonate with everyone. Nonetheless, I encourage you to consider them thoughtfully. Perhaps you have followed our previous videos exploring the history and origins of the Bantu people. Among our viewers, some agree with our narratives, while others remain skeptical, and that's perfectly fine. But consider this. History shows us that throughout the ages, people from different nations have interacted with one another. These interactions often led to intermarriages, which gave rise to new tribes and nations. No nation on Earth today exists in its original, unmixed state. Interbreeding and cultural blending have shaped every society we see around us. Now, to answer the question directly, are there Israelites among the African people? The honest answer is yes. There are Israelites amongst the African people, including amongst the Bantu people. But that does not mean that the Bantu people, as a whole, are Israelites. History tells us that when the ancient Israelite nation was invaded and conquered, many were deported to the lands of the ruling empires of that time. However, some managed to escape and scatter to different parts of the world. They found refuge among various nations of that era. The truth is that some of these Israelites found their way to the African continent, others settled among nations in Asia, and certainly some are among the people of Europe today. This pattern of migration, assimilation, and cultural integration is not unique to ancient times. It continues even today. Take, for instance, the more recent history of European colonization in Africa. These interactions led to significant intermixing, giving birth to new identities and nations. The colored community, for example, emerged from these unions, with many identifying culturally and linguistically with the local Bantu. Despite their mixed heritage, many colored individuals share striking physical similarities with the Bantu people. They're one of us, even if some trace their paternal lineage to Europeans and Asians. Yet, we do not say that the Bantu people are Europeans. We simply acknowledge that among the Bantu, some individuals have European ancestry. The same applies worldwide. For example, there are light-skinned people today who, historically, are of African origin, even if they currently resemble Europeans. Their lineage traces back to Black Africans. In conclusion, we are all brothers and sisters, regardless of nationality or ethnic identity. The reality is that you may identify as Chinese today, but through generations of intermarriage and cultural integration, your descendants could identify as something entirely different, perhaps even as Muntu. History shows us that identities are fluid, shaped by time, migration, and human connection. The world is more interconnected than we often realize.